So Sam's going to go out and get somebody who is there already, who can do all the things he likes. And he's into some wild things. Most people are into some pretty freaky shit. Mm-hmm. So now he's cheating on his wife. And now you have a problem. Because now you have a wife who you're married to, obviously. And then there's children. Then there's a house. And there's 50-50. And then there's a divorce court. And now you're losing everything you built. All because you didn't marry the kind of woman you should have married in the first place, which is a woman that's going to knock your socks off every day when you come home from work. Marry the slut.
Marry the slut.
Marry the slut.
That's a bar.
Because you're going to be having awesome sex at home all the time.
Go ahead.
Oh, look at you. My pretty little girl. Sitting there with her face all painted up and her little halter top. You're nothing but a little slut.
Please, no! No!
Elisabeth Ovesen is a New York Times bestselling author. She is a relationship columnist and a self-love strategist, as she puts it. She's also the host of a show here on YouTube called Asking for a Friend. And today she is talking about sluts and slut shaming. As you guys saw in the intro clip, she thinks that sluts make great wives. I'm just gonna be upfront with you guys. She contradicts herself this entire video, and it was very hard for me to listen to it. I'm sure it's gonna be hard for you, but we do what we have to do here on my channel. But before we jump into today's video, hi, my name is Rebecca. Welcome to my channel. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, and listen guys, I learned from some of you that I have been shadow banned on YouTube, which kind of makes sense because I've been seeing my numbers just very low. But I learned from one of my other creator friends that if this happens, basically what you have to do is unsubscribe, then resubscribe, and then turn on all your post notifications. Now, I know this is annoying, but this is what happens when you speak the truth here on the internet. The feminists are out to get me, YouTube is out to get me. This is just what it is. So I hope you guys will just subscribe and then turn on all your post notifications to help my channel out and get notified when I drop new videos. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so to give you guys some context here, Elisabeth is 43 years old. She is divorced and she was married twice in her life. I think she has 2 kids. Fun fact, Elisabeth was a video vixen back in the 90s. Yeah, now she's a relationship expert. She's a self-love strategist. She is gonna tell us about slut shaming. So let's get into it, shall we?
So now, when men shame women because of those insecurities, that makes women not want to have the sex that they really want. It makes them afraid to have the sex that they want to have. That shame is meant to make men feel better. So now it's like, well, I don't want to, I would have sex. I would have more sex, but they're going to call me a whore. So I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to settle for this little penis man that I met one time. And now I'm having horrible sex the rest of my life so that I don't hurt his ego. The men with the smaller, inadequate penis, and there's a lot of small penises in this world. There are a lot of small penises in this world. Most men have small, listen, I don't know if men know this. I'm not done. I'm not done. Men need to hear this. Most of y'all, listen, what camera am I looking? Most of y'all have small, most of y'all have small penises. You've seen porn. You know how big they get. They get pretty big. And once a woman figures that out, she ain't going back to 6 inches or 5 or 4. Some of them are like a cool inch. I was married to a man who had a cool 1.5 inches. I know because I measured it.
She starts off by saying that men slut shame women, and so a woman cannot fulfill her true sexual desires and she can't get the same sexual education as men because she's been slut shamed basically her whole life. And that's because of the male ego and because men have small penises. The majority of you, apparently, according to Elisabeth, have small penises. It's interesting how she can literally say in the same breath, men slut shame women for ego, but then she says it's because small penis energy. Isn't that shaming? Isn't that literally what you're saying that men do to women because of ego? So if a woman gets denied by a man, that is the first insult she throws out. Oh, he has a small penis. Oh, look at that little energy. How is that not the same as slut shaming for ego? It's kind of worse, the insult for men, because you can't do anything about your penis size. But a woman doesn't have to have sex with every man. She can be in a relationship, or she can choose celibacy, or she can just choose not to have sex with as many men that she has access to. And then she goes on to say, well, once a woman has had a taste for the big penises, right? Once she's explored that side, why would she go back to the little penises? That makes sense, because that's called hypergamy. Not only is hypergamy for money and status and things like that, but it's also for sexual desires. Most of the time, those guys have the attention of many other women. That is the problem, right? And she's telling this to average women. The caller that's on the line is an average woman, and she has dated celebrities. She was married to a celebrity. It's very damaging to get advice from women like this, who are out of touch with reality, that are out of touch with the average woman, the average man. Let's continue to see what she has to say next.
Why do some men hate on sluts when deep down that's what they want?
See, I'm writing a whole book about this. It's called Men Love Sluts. Listen to this.
Okay.
So the thing about patriarchal values is that in an attempt to hinder women, they also hinder men. Okay? So you take the scenario from before, the sexual due diligence into the better discernment, into choosing, which means leaves a lot of men being dissed. I mean, they just end up getting rejected. Men don't want that, so they shame women, so women don't go out and branch out and find out that there's better out there, right? It's kind of like when you like chain a woman in the basement, like you just kind of keep her closed out to the world so she doesn't see there's better penises out there, better men, better everything. Okay, cool. The problem with that is that now men will look for the virginal and they'll look for the like inexperienced and virginal women, right? So you're looking for, the quintessential or stereotypical like church marm kind of a girl. Like she's a good girl, right? Quote unquote, big air quotes on that. So let's say now his name is Sam. Sam gets the good girl. She hasn't been with anybody. She's waiting until marriage. So he marries her. The problem is Sam has not been waiting. Sam has been, since high school, sowing his wild oats. Now he knows what he likes sexually. He's into some pretty freaky stuff. Okay? Sam likes all kinds of things. There's toys. He wants to be tied up. He likes to do things. He likes anal. He likes this. He likes that. His wife doesn't do that because she's a virgin upon marriage. This is the only penis she's ever seen, so she thinks it's amazing, but she doesn't know how to do any of the things he likes done. Okay? And they're all foreign to her. So when he goes into like, oh, well, let's do anal, she's like, what? I was just a virgin 2 weeks ago before we got married. Now you want to do all kinds of things to my body. I'm like, she's not there yet. So Sam's going to go out and get somebody who is there already, who can do all the things he likes. And he's into some wild things. Most people are into some pretty freaky shit. So now he's cheating on his wife. And now you have a problem. Because now you have a wife who you're married to, obviously. And then there's children. Then there's a house. And there's 50-50. And then there's a divorce court. And now you're losing everything you built. All because you didn't marry the kind of woman you should have married in the first place, which is a woman that's going to knock your socks off every day when you come home from work. Marry the slut.
Marry the slut.
Marry the slut.
That's a bar.
Because you're going to be having awesome sex at home all the time. You're going to get anal every night. You're going to get head every day. You'll be teabagging. You'll be on the chandelier. You'll be in the car, on the beach. You'll be, all kinds of shit's going to go down. There'll be friends coming. You don't know whatever kind of freak you need. Marry that person. So you don't have to go outside of your marriage for what you're into. If you're into multiple partners and polyamory, marry into that. Don't marry the church marm. Don't marry the virgin. But then you want non-virginal things to happen. That's not fair to her, and it's also a setup for you.
So she uses the example of the virgin church marm as the example, and then this man who's a freak in the sheets and wants all of this stuff with his wife that won't give it to him, and yada, 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 right? So he goes outside the marriage. Marry the slut is her ultimate point. Let's break this down really quickly. First of all, there are more male virgins than there are female virgins in this day and age. The CDC reports that virgins make up 12.3% of females and 14.3% of males ages 20 to 24. Men are not losing their virginity until later on in their life. So this example that she uses is very nuanced in a way, because we're not seeing a lot of women virgins in the world these days. Actually, they're probably having sex more often and at younger ages. That's the first ridiculous point. Secondly, marriage is not all about sex. Yes, it is a big factor in your marriage, but your marriage is not all about sex. Marriage is deeper than that. It's an intimacy, it's a level of intimacy. And yes, marriage sex can be real fun. Trust me, it can be amazing, but it's not the entire relationship. It doesn't make up the entire marriage. Later on in your life, you're probably not gonna have all that much sex. Just because you're older and your libido is lower, basing your marriage off of sex and marrying a slut is not good advice for men. Let's look up the definition of the word slut. Slut, and this is from the Oxford Dictionary. Y'all can look it up, okay? A woman who has many casual sexual partners. She's suggesting that men marry sluts. A slut has casual sexual partners. So what makes you think that that person is not going to step outside the marriage as well, right? If she's a slut, why wouldn't she go have casual sex with other people if you don't fulfill her needs? She might be into all this kinky stuff. She might be all into the freaky stuff, but what makes you think that you're gonna keep her? I say probably slim to none. So this is just terrible advice that she's giving to both men and women. She's not a great example of the outcome that you want. If this worked very well, why hasn't it worked for her? Because she talks about all of the penises and all of the people that she's slept with. Why hasn't she been swept up yet?
Listen, sluts aren't a real thing. Sluts are not a real thing. No one's a slut. No one's real. Like, sluts are like unicorns. People talk about them all the time, but you've never seen one. Nobody's a slut because there's nobody out here having more sex than anybody else, because a man has to have sex if he's a straight man with a woman. A woman is having sex with a man. If we're both having sex at the same time, how am I the slut? Knock it off.
That's a fact.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
So she says, sluts aren't a thing. Sluts aren't real. Yet you literally said that men should marry a slut. So is it that sluts aren't real or that men should marry sluts? I'm so confused here. And not to mention her demeanor, and I wanted to say this at the beginning, her demeanor is very aggressive. She puts on this front that she has it all together. She says, I'm preaching here. This is my sermon. She feels like her voice is the authority over this, right? She feels like she understands this fully. And she even said she's gonna write a book about sluts and slut shaming and all this other stuff. The biggest issue from this video, from her saying all this stuff, is that the women that are calling and the women that are watching these videos are taking her advice and running with it. Oh yeah, just be a slut, do whatever you want, have sex with as many people as you want, do your thing, girl. Like, get that sexual education for yourself. That is not only terrible advice, it's damaging advice for women. The average woman should not be doing that. But she is not living in reality because she lives in that celebrity world. She lives in a different world and is not in touch with the average woman or the average man. And so this information that she's giving us, yeah, it sounds funny and whatever, but people are really taking this stuff to heart. That is the main issue here. And so women are gonna end up miserable miserable, alone, with cats, and all this other stuff because they listened to Elisabeth Ovesen, who is a relationship expert and writes for the New York Post and other publications. That is the underlying issue here. And not to mention the fact that she just contradicts herself in every single statement that she makes. That's why this is not a credible source for getting relationship advice. But that is my video for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.